Well, hey there, and welcome to Understanding the Bible. This week, as we continue our study of Revelation, I'm going to break it up into two study with me's. The first, just answering one question I had and some commentary information that was helpful, and then the second one, doing an outline. So we're going to start off by looking at what is the number 666. What does it mean? So grab your coffee, grab your Bible, and let's study. So here we are in Revelation 13 at the very bottom, and we've seen already the beast from the sea, the beast from the land, and they're all leading people into false worship. We have the mark of the beast, and then we have this number here to identify the beast. And so we have, here's the wisdom, let him who has understanding calculate the number of the beast, for that number is that of a man, and his number is 666. What does this mean? I've been using the Expositor's Bible Commentary Abridged Edition that's available in Bible Gateway Plus. I actually have the original unabridged version right here. And it's a little harder to read. It includes more Greek in it, and it has more footnotes and all of that, so it has more information. But the general information is very similar in the abridged version, and if you're looking for more in-depth study, the unabridged has got more, but I really like this commentary. I think the one in Bible Gateway Plus is well worth reading, has good info, and we can see that here as we look at what does 666 mean. This commentary points out something that I think is pretty worth noting. There are a lot of interpretations of 666. There are so many different ways to interpret it. And so one of the ways is to look at it and try to decipher the numbers. We do this with codes or something where a number represents a letter. And so this was common back in the time that Revelation was written. And it's a Hebrew game. Right here we have this of gematria. So this is just using numbers to represent letters or words. And it's not just Hebrew, it's all kinds of languages would use that kind of alphabets and numeric system to say stuff. And here we have an example, like number 1 could be alpha in Greek or aleph in Hebrew. So that could be a letter. In English would be A. And so there's been a lot of ways to kind of get what these three numbers, 666, could mean. The commentary points out that this phrase here, let him calculate the number, and we see that over here, let him who has understanding to calculate the number. This seems like it's inviting us to play that kind of numerical game to figure out what it means. Let him who has the ability decipher this. I'm giving you the clues, now you figure it out. And here's something where commentaries can be really helpful. They can sometimes look at sources that we may not have available to us. And so in this commentary, they reference Irenaeus. He wrote a long time ago, look at this, in 202, and he mentions the names of many people who were being offered as solutions for this number mystery. So even in the year 200, very early, there are all kinds of names, different names being offered, and he cautioned that you could use this number system to be looking for antichrists everywhere. And that's something that we've seen play out for a long time. There have been many, many guesses of who the antichrist is with the number 666. Who is this beast 666? And so within Revelation, we see some reasons why using this method of kind of using each number to represent a letter, why it's not a good idea. One is that this is simply not how Revelation works. Throughout Revelation, the numbers are being seen as symbols. So we have 7 as a symbol of fullness. We have the 144,000, which are also symbolic numbers. The numbers are used, we have the number 12 and 24, and all of these are numbers that represent ideas rather than are representing letters. So if that's not what he's doing, if John's not asking us to play the number game, what is he asking us to do? John is asking us to understand what the symbolism of these numbers mean. So the commentary is going to offer an answer, and I think this is a good answer to the question that I really think is very likely what John had in mind or what God had in mind in revealing this number. So here we go. Finally, How are we to understand 666? The best way is to return to one of the most ancient interpretations, that of Irenaeus. This church father proposed, while still holding to the personal Antichrist. So he's suggesting that there was still a view that there was going to be an actual Antichrist, that the number indicates that the beast is the sum of all apostate power, a concentrate of 6,000 years of unrighteousness, wickedness, and deception and false prophecy. So we see in this number like a concentration of all of that false teaching. To him, the digit 6 indicates the recapitulations of that prophecy that occurred at the beginning during the intermediate periods. The significance of the name of the beast is abundantly clear elsewhere in Revelation. Wherever there is blasphemy, there is the beast's name found. So we're seeing that the beast's name is connected to blasphemy. The number 666 is a heaping of the number 6. And this is really the key to understanding the numbers, right? So all of that other stuff is this idea of how the beast's name is just like false prophecy incarnate. But what does the number 6 mean, and what does the 3 of them mean? And it indicates the apex of incompleteness. So if 7 is the fullness, is the completeness, 6 is as close as you can get to complete, but not. It's like a parody of completeness. It's the idea we see in Antichrist. The Antichrist is a figure who looks in some ways messianic, but he's the opposite, because instead of leading people to worship God, he leads people to worship himself. It's a false completeness, a promise of completeness that doesn't deliver. 7 is the number of perfection, and I'm using that word in both completeness, but also in holiness and purity. And 6, it imitates that, but falls short. So this interpretation of 666 as a symbolic number, referring to the unholy trinity of evil, or to the human imperfect imitation of God rather than a cipher of a name, has been held by a long line of conservative commentators. And also it makes sense that it would be held by non-conservative commentators, but it's the idea that the 666 is not some puzzle to sort out, but rather it's telling you that the name of the Antichrist, that the name being referenced here, is a symbol of imperfection, that the Antichrist himself is a symbol that copies God, but doesn't live up to his perfection. And I think that makes sense. That's something that readers in John's time could understand. It's readers in our time could understand. It's not a complicated number game. It's just a clear picture that's seen throughout the rest of Revelation of who the beast is. So I hope that's been helpful. I hope that clears up in your mind maybe what this kind of cryptic numbers could mean, and saves you the trouble of looking at these kind of like numerology things that have all of these different guesses, when we can have something that I believe offers more clarity and is more helpful to us in actually reading this passage. So that's it for this, and then I'm going to go ahead and jump over into my next video and continue outlining Revelation up to as far as we are here in this week.